Blog Talk Radio.
Transition, the process of change from one condition to another.
We are now at a new crossroads where change is evident once again.
What does not serve us must transform us anew.
Returning to our original state of oneness and true nature of that which created who we truly are.
Confusion was the way of the past. Enlightenment is the way of the now and future. Shedding away the layers of deceit.
We now bring you the transformation of the two who started as one. Our fearless planet never stands still.
Earth has been in a process of transition, not exactly remarkable, ongoing reality.
Welcome to Transition Radio.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Angelo, your host.
And I am Lynna Lopez, your hostess.
We are broadcasting live from the beautiful land of enchantment, Silver City, New Mexico.
We wanted to take a moment to thank our sponsors, thebreastformstore.com. They have everything you can imagine to enhance your feminizing needs.
As well as Funk Lube, which is an award-winning personal lubricant. It is glycerin-free, non-staining, 100% sex toy safe with all materials, and it is very much fun to use.
Visit their website at spunklube.com and to check out their amazing line of products.
Use the code TR and receive a 10% discount.
If you enjoy our show, please tell your friends and neighbors. Share our website and donate if you can.
Well, tonight is Monday evening. We have a noon time, 9 p.m. Mountain Time, and it goes around, 10 Central, 11 Eastern, and 8 p.m. Pacific. And we figured that a lot of people are now winding down.
Cozying up in their homes and not doing much.
Yeah, so what better thing to do than to listen to us ramble for the next 30 minutes or so. Anyway, today is current events and the supernatural, where we try to bring things that are exciting, that are taking place in the world, or make you aware of certain things. We came across this article, which I'm sure is going to touch home with a lot of individuals who are listening to the podcast. Why do so many middle-aged men feel so lost?
Like as if they don't know where they're going?
Kind of something like that. They're out of focus, out of range, a little lost,
But they need just a little Google.
No, I think that's one of the problems. Too many gadgets. Anyway, caught between baby boomers and Generation Y, today middle-aged men increasingly see themselves as lost souls. Lucy Cavendish, Lens and Ear. What is happening to our generation, especially the men? The Canyon Ranch Resort in Tucson, Arizona, a fitness, wellness, life-enhancing center where people who are very stressed come to detox. Most would think this place would be filled with middle-aged women coming to distress and unwind from their hectic life as corporate heads, juggling motherhood with their careers. But instead, the classes here are full of men with great big identity issues.
There is 45-year-old Lee, who has just gotten divorced and has, in the course of a month, slept with 15 women. I don't see myself as that type of man, he says, but I feel so lonely and I don't know what to do with my life. There is Ryan, age 53, who has never married and is in the crisis about why he hasn't. Then there's Steve, who's 49, a travel agent, long time married, who has hit a midlife crisis. He says he really does want to buy a Harley-Davidson and head off down Route 66. Is that wrong, he asks? I just don't know what I want in my life anymore. They are all part of a sandwich generation, quote unquote. They sit between the baby boomers and the digital natives, and they are a group who have, according to recent statistics, lost their way. The Samaritan Suicide Statistics Report for 2014 shows that men aged 40 through 44 are the demographic group with the highest rate of suicide, nearly 4 times that of women the same age.
And it's funny to talk about this resort in Tucson. I think there's a lot of different resorts throughout the United States and throughout the world for people to go to detox, unwind, because we live in a very hectic world.
So they can just get out of the stress of their lives and move forward.
Heal. We don't take enough time to heal. Everything is breakdown. Our cells cannot handle the load. But it's really funny because back in native times, men went out, hunted, did the thing, brought it home, wife cooked it.
Right.
They sat around a fire as a family. They danced. They meditated or prayed to their sun god or whatever else. And there seemed to be more of a normal flow.
Well, I think that is it really something that is actually created, this whole stress issue of, midlife crisis? Is that something that society has created? I mean, that word, midlife crisis, it didn't exist before.
No, it didn't, because I think, again, the unnatural rhythm that we are taking on, going to sleep late at night, watching TV really late. I mean, the normal rhythm in life is sun goes down, we go to bed. We get up early. When the sun gets up and we do the things that we did, we tended to our farms or things of that nature. I mean, right now, the life of the Indian is very, very abnormal. People have lost their way and they've lost their place. Anyway, let's continue on with this article. It says, the pressure to live up to what the report describes as masculine gold standard, which prizes power, control, and invincibility, can turn personal troubles such as losing a job into a crisis in a way that it might not for women. And there's been a lot of that, a lot of job losses. The sense of suffering, defeat as a man can be more acute in middle age, when the responsibilities are greatest. The result? Men of this generation are in crisis. We rarely look at the role of men, especially middle-aged men. And the problem does not only apply to those who have suffered from the familiar seismic shift in their lives, such as divorce or the loss of a job.
Whereas women strive forwards and get themselves together in general, men just don't do that. They like things to remain as they were. They don't like change. They like women to support them, really, so they are emotionally or spiritually or physically lazy. Some are all three, and this laziness is very prevalent in the sandwich generation men, and it often leaves them lost, lonely, and drifting towards an uncertain future when they should be at an age whereby everything is settled.
Funny, they talk about this. My ex-wife, her brother is a stay-at-home mom, and the wife is the one that goes to work. The wife is a doctor.
Right.
And we're seeing a lot of that. Men no longer, I think it all started with the women's lib movement, where now,
Right.
there's a loss of identity. Well, I used to be the breadwinner, and I used to be the one that would come home and the wife would have dinner ready for me and my little flip-flops and maybe a little cocktail.
Right.
Things have totally changed, and this whole masculinizing of the female persona has almost thrown off.
Well, I remember watching a movie back in the 80s came out with Michael Keaton, and it was called Mr. Mom. And that movie pretty much showcased the fact that this guy who had a corporate job at like an auto manufacturer or something lost his job, and then his wife then switched roles with him, and he stayed at home and took care of the kids, and she went out into the corporate world. And I think it kind of, sandwich generation men watched that movie,
Yeah.
and they saw what that was about, and maybe got inspired. I don't know, but there's a huge disconnect here with what the traditional roles of a man and the traditional role of a woman should be in modern society.
Definitely. And I think it's really breaking down the family. It's really breaking down the systems. And we're seeing it. We're seeing the effects daily. Obviously, not all men are like this, but there does seem to be a predominance of men over the age of 45 who feel as if they're on the scrap heap. The writer of this article shared her experience after being at a party where most middle-aged men were there and were having a breakdown. One of them never married, no kids, hadn't had a job for the past 5 years, and was working unpaid as a carer.
Now, this whole issue about men not being able to, you know, being able to relate and being able to get through these things is something that women don't usually have a problem with, right?
Majority, but I think what's happening nowadays is the confusion of the roles, the confusion of feeling. I mean, women are feeling more like men, and I believe men are feeling more like women.
Well, that is the point that you made, sure, but what I'm trying to get to is the fact that women, if they're put together to solve a problem, they're usually going to empathize with each other, they're usually going to feel for each other, and they're usually going to work with each other. And it seems like men, for the most part, have this, you know, Lone Ranger mentality that they want to do it on their own, and when they can't, they feel so defeated.
Yes, well, it's the thing about man won't ask for direction.
Right.
You know, that kind of thing. Women are more communicative. They will talk more. They express more. They work towards more in their feelings center versus that anger responded war, you know, frustration that most men have. And again, we're not trying to be stereotypical here, but these are certain things that are innate within a male and a female. But what's happening now that I'm seeing that there's a lot of crossing of the lines because females are being much more masculine. They're taking on these executive roles. They're no longer staying home with their children, or the majority of them. They're no longer that woman that stands behind the man type of mentality. Right. They're going head-to-head, you know, with their husbands, and there's like, well, we don't need you anymore. I could take care of myself. Right. Whereas before, women were very much dependent on their husbands to provide for everything.
Now, the article continues, it occurred to me that for a man aged 52, this was quite an odd situation to be in, and had a job for the past 5 years, the article was saying. No wife or kids or money or even a house to call his own. I asked if he was happy about this. He shook his head vehemently and said, not at all, he said. He then explained that it just hadn't happened for him. Girlfriends had come and gone. He had found it hard to commit, and not just as the cliche goes in his relationships. He had flitted from one job to another, never quite finding the thing, quote unquote, he wanted to do. He had worked for a bank, but never felt like he fit in.
You know, I could relate with this particular part because, you know, I felt like I went into a profession, went to college, paid 10 years of student loans, was not happy. Prior to going to college, I went from job to job, just never felt like I fit in. And I think this is a problem, a global problem, that people are being forced to get a 9-to-5 job, get a degree, and maybe they're not even happy about what they're doing. They're doing it because they think they have to, and they've got to pay bills, so they're stuck doing things they don't enjoy doing. It's starting to rain here, by the way, folks, so if you hear these drip drops, it's the rain falling on the roof of the RV, which makes it
very
peaceful sound. All we need now is some meditative music, and we're good to go. Anyway, so he had left the job and retrained as a landscape gardener, and that hadn't suited him either, although he had liked the outdoor elements of it. This became a pattern, a shifting life with seemingly no purpose. I feel, he quotes, I am lost now, and it's too late to change things. I'm surplus to society's requirement, like one of those lone male deer that performs no function at all and gets forced from the herd because of it. And I wanted to say, you know, I'm 50 years old, and I got laid off from my last job.
Yeah.
And it's a total turnoff. It's a total, you've dedicated yourself to a company, worked hard for them, and then just to be thrown out like garbage, that does a major thing to your psyche. And so after a while, you like really don't have any more to give. You really don't. You don't want to express or invest any of more of your emotions into any of other companies.
Well, I know that when I was removed from a position, I worked as a camera operator, and back in the early 2000s, I was removed from a position because the producer didn't like this guy who was over me, and I was kind of like his assistant and stuff. So he bumped me off, and I was like, I didn't know what to do with myself. I was like, you know, without an answer to what happened. But you, as a former female, how would you have reacted had you been bumped out of that job? Would it have been different for you?
I think so. You know, I've changed a lot in the way I think. I think hormones has a major role in that because it does change the way you think and changes the chemistry in your mind. Maritza would have gone and found another job right away. She wouldn't have blinked twice. It wouldn't have been a major deal. It's like, okay, you don't want me, what the heck? But I'm also older. You know, Maritza was younger when she went through an array of different jobs, and, I don't like this, so I'm going to go to the next thing. And it just never really hurt my feelings as much as this last time around, which is actually really affecting me. And it's like, I really don't want to invest in more of my time to another company to be just dismissed like any old number, like I didn't matter.
Right. Well, the article continues and says, after him, I bumped into more men, all seemingly versions of the same. The divorced ones were all miserable, most of them lamenting the terrible downturn their lives had taken. No house, gone to the ex. No kids, gone to the ex. No future. What's the point? Henry, 50, who divorced 7 years ago, considers himself as part of a group he refers to as remaindered men. It is the sense that we colluded in the process of making ourselves surplus to requirement, he explains.
We married capable women who took over every aspect of life. They ran the household, the children, the social life. For a while, it seemed a good meal ticket to be on. But in the end, the horrific or horrible logic of the process results in us being without any kind of a role at all and not much self-confidence to find another one within the existing framework.
Ouch. That's a big one for me because I, as an MTF, experienced that same exact description.
And actually, this particular article spoke to you.
It did, because, this article not only talks about it with disillusioned sandwich generation men, of which I, quote-unquote, am probably a part of, but also the fact that I think that this type of existence is what drives a lot of men towards transgenderism.
I believe so. And I believe that a lot of them, and those of you who are listening who are transgender, kind of think about this. Was your wife the one in control?
Yes.
Did you feel like your role as a male was not sufficient? You didn't feel capable?
Yes, exactly.
And it was like the easy answer, well, I'll become a female.
Well, I had a friend who told me point blank, they said, I'm different from the people in this other trans group that we all went to. And they said, it's because I chose to be this way because I couldn't make it as a guy. So why not make it as a woman or try to? And that's just a terrible way to choose to make a transition. I can identify with what's going on here, but that's not the bulk of my issues that caused me to want to identify as another gender.
But I believe it makes it easier because I have known a lot of transgender women, and it's almost like, okay, all these years you're working hard as a man, and I'm not going to mention names, but it was like they worked and got home, and there was just no satisfaction, felt like what they were doing was not what they wanted to do, and it's like, gosh, the wife is home taking care of the kids. I want that for myself. I want to be a housewife. I want to be taken care of, and that's the mentality that a lot of trans women have. Not all of them, but I know a few that just want to find that sugar daddy,
right,
and stay home and be taken care of and go get their nails done and so forth and so on. And, hey, that's all fine and dandy. I'm all for that. I'm old-fashioned. When you can, and you can provide. But unfortunately, sometimes, and especially this day and age, one salary now is usually not enough unless you are, a top executive in some sort of high corporate paying job or, are in the entertainment business where you're making tons of money. Because even the medical system, it pays well, but it doesn't cut it.
I think that the reality is that, these things are just one of the problems that exist in the transgender community.
Yes, I think so. I think it's something that we have to, as transgender individuals, really look deeply within, and is this the reason why it's happening? Because we're seeing tons and tons of people just coming out of the woodwork, and there's something going on, but we're taking this into a direction that is not what I believe transgender individuals are born to be.
Right.
I think this is more spiritual, and we're really messing up the whole universal concept of why we are the way we are.
I think men just have lost their way. They don't know what they're supposed to be. Women have usurped the role of men in modern society. So the article continues, says, quote, we are caught between the old model of being the breadwinner and the new model of being co-washer, upper, and feeder. And the truth is we never really mastered either of these roles, old or new, and this has led to a profound sense of crisis in men. Unless you really are able to look back at what happened, you can't move on. Many men today are, quote-unquote, lost and believe they need, the article says that the people that wrote it say that they need a stint in the Army following rules and discipline and turning into proper men because, what's the excuse?
Right. I mean, back in the day, we were warriors. We fought. We had, that's what men did. They went out and they fought and they hunted, and it's
Dad told me men don't cry.
Yeah, it's like, so now, what is the role really? Especially now that women are also working.
Right.
So the whole family concept has gone down the drain.
Well, they can't breastfeed.
No, they can't, exactly. But it's as simple as that. The younger generation seems to have become more metrosexual. They cook, clean, and take care of their children. They use grooming products and wax their bits and are far more feminized than the 40-plus-something men. So are the middle-aged men part of the lost generation? Too old for male manicures and too young to be the breadwinner. The real men laying down the law with a wife at home who fixes them a G&T when they get back from work and scratch the balls and all that good stuff. Where are they?
Terry Real, a psychologist and the author of the book, How Can I Get Through to You? Reconnecting Men and Women, thinks the time has come for men to readjust their sights. Our culture's masculine code, he says, dictates that men don't need relationships. Men don't need to be connected. Men don't need to be heartfelt.
Kind of like what you were talking about earlier, women are more expressive. Men don't really need that. So they're good to just go out, fight a war, bring back, the kill, that's the kind of mentality or the kind of makeup that men are made of, or supposedly. That's in the DNA.
Well, that's what, the fathers of these men and the grandfathers and the great-grandfathers of these men were made up of.
Yeah.
So why isn't that these men aren't made up of the same thing?
No, because society has changed things. Before we grabbed women by the hair, growled, and you went and brought them to the cave with a big old, club, and, and things.
You're going to get a lot of people right now.
Yeah. No, but that's what it was.
Yeah.
Seriously. Now things have, back in the days, I'm not making this stuff up.
Right.
Things have changed for the worse, for the better, I don't know. But obviously something's going on when we're seeing a lot of these things taking place. Anyway, the answer, Real says, is to understand and then reject the old, outdated part of the masculine code, which gave a sense of entitlement, a sense that men can go home, rip open our belts, pop open a beer, belt, work, be loved. We just don't get away with that anymore.
That's one way of looking at it.
Good article, though. Excellent article. Anyway, there's a lot of weird stuff going on in the sky lately. A lot of reports.
Now moving to our
supernatural, yeah,
part of the show.
Yes, there's a lot of stuff. Anyway, the monster black hole. Astronomers have detected the largest black hole yet, an ancient behemoth. I can't pronounce this word, and she taught me earlier, but I forgot. Behemoth, thank you, which contains a staggering mass estimated to contain 12 million or billion times that of our sun. It is located in the heart of a quasar, some 12.8 billion light years from Earth, and is incredibly luminous, some 429 trillion times brighter than the sun. I'm Cuban, folks. I think you all know that by now. American language, very weird. It's not, you see a word, it's not pronounced or sounds okay.
Behemot.
To me, that says behemoth. Behemoth. En español para behemoth.
Okay.
Okay?
Astronomers have discovered the largest and most luminous black hole ever seen, an ancient monster with a mass about 12 billion times that of the sun. That dates back to when the universe was less than 1 billion years old. It remains a mystery how black holes could have grown so huge in such a relatively brief time, million years, after the dawn of the universe, researchers say.
Supermassive black holes are thought to lurk in the hearts of most, if not all, large galaxies. The largest black holes found so far in the nearby universe have masses more than 10 billion times that of the sun. In comparison, the black hole at the center of the Milky Way is thought to have mass only 4 million to 5 million times that of the sun.
Oh, that's tiny.
Yeah.
Although not even light can escape the powerful gravitational pulls of black holes, hence their name, black holes are often bright. That's because they're surrounded by features known as accretion disks, which are made up of gas and dust that heat up and give off light as it swirls into the black holes.
Astronomers suspect that quasars, the brightest object in the universe, contain supermassive black holes that release extraordinarily large amounts of light as they rip apart stars. So far, astronomers have discovered 40 quasars, each with a black hole about 1 billion times the mass of the sun, dating back to when the universe was less than 1 billion years old.
Now scientists report the discovery of a supermassive black hole, 12 billion times the mass of the sun, about 12.8 billion light years from the Earth, thank God. That dates back to when the universe was only about 875 million years old. This black hole, technically known as SDSS J0100 plus 2J02 for short, is not only the most massive quasar ever seen in the early universe, but also the most luminous.
It is about 429 trillion times brighter than the sun and 7 times brighter than the most distant quasar known. The light from very distant quasars can take billions of years to reach Earth. As such, astronomers can see quasars as they were when the universe was young. This black hole dates back to a little more than 6% of the universe's current age of 13.8 billion years.
Oh, not 6,000.
No, God, I don't know where to get their numbers.
Scientists still do not have a satisfactory theory to explain how these supermassive objects formed in the early universe. Quote, this quasar is the most luminous one in the early universe, which, like a lighthouse, will provide us chances to use it as a unique tool to study the cosmic structure of the dark, distant universe. Unquote.
It's amazing. Yeah, you're talking about how many biblical leaders think that it's only 6,000
of the Earth.
Yes, and this they're like way off.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of proof. You know, you can't really argue with the proof.
Just look up in the sky, proof is right there.
I know, and with all these new telescopes, all these new universes that are being created, new planets that are being created right before our very eyes. I mean, we know nothing, folks. Our little minds can't even fathom. Our language says. I mean, we see things with our 5 senses. There is more than meets the eye.
Well, there's going to be more than meets the eye coming, I'm sure.
Oh,
I mean, there's been so much discussion about extraterrestrial life, and there's NASA got together, theologians and scientists together to, prepare for upcoming information, things that have been hidden in the past are going to be revealed.
And there's going to be a lot of truth unfolding, and people are going to have a little rude awakening. And, they're going to be shocked because their world's going to come tumbling down, and things are going to change. We've got 90 seconds left of the live show. Please, you can see or hear the remainder of the show on demand. We do have a few more things to talk about. So if you're listening and you get caught off, do not worry. You can go back and continue to hear the remainder of the broadcast. Anyway, it's like exciting times that we're living in. I think right now it's one of the most exciting times. There are things taking place. We see these crazy weather conditions. Things are happening. People don't realize that everything that they have been taught and learned from the time they're young is based on lies. There are shadow governments. There are things out there, let's call them other species, aliens, that do not want us to wake up and evolve as spirit beings. That's what it's all about. We're not here just to go to college, get a degree, work from 9 to 5, have babies, get old and die. That is so far from what we need.
So Star Wars is more accurate than we would think?
Yes. Star Wars and a lot of these sci-fi movies that we think are sci-fi are actually real.
Wow.
There's things that, and people will slowly start discovering these things taking place.
E.T. phone home?
E.T. phone home, yes. And you know what? I've known from the time I was little I've always been very open-minded, and I've always had my beliefs. I'm not by far an atheist. I am a big believer that there is something powerful out there that how dare we label it and put it in a box.
Right.
Our little minds aren't capable of it. We have created God in our image. We have tried to pinpoint and create this little man in the sky with a long beard that points down and say, you sin, now I'm going to hurt you. And, that is far from our Creator. Our Creator is all love and light.
Our God, the God that has been created by society, by humanity, is a God that serves our purposes.
Exactly. And it serves the purposes of the system, of the political heads, the kings, the queens, the whole priests and godheads that have been appointed to run human life and to keep us under lock and key and control and enslaved.
They're the ones that, decided what to put into the big Holy Bible.
Exactly.
They're the ones who decided what stays out of it.
Exactly.
And there's lots more truth out there other than just the Bible.
Exactly. And we'll be talking a lot about that in future shows, bringing in a lot of the research that we have been doing and continue to do because we want to have the proper tools to bring forth this information for you. And it's exciting. It's exciting that things are not the way we believe they have been, and there is more to us than meets the eye. And talking about more to us than meets the eye, the affirmation of today is,
I am guided in my every step by Spirit,
who leads me towards what I must know and do. I've always have been very guided by what I call my higher self, the great I am, because I believe Source and us are united. We're connected. We're made out of the same materials. And when you listen to your heart, and although religious people tell you that your heart is wicked, do not fall for that, because your heart is a very important factor in the connection with a higher source, the great I am. And if you allowed the great I am to lead you, you can't go wrong. Let your mind be placed to the side and let your heart guide you, because there is where our Father, Mother speaks to us. And I truly believe that if you allow him, her to lead you, you can't go wrong. Please make sure to stay tuned for Wednesday broadcast. We'll be bringing information on health and nutrition and anything new or any weird bugs or anything like that that's out there. Award-winning actor, singer, and person is David de Alba, the Cuban legend who worked for many years at the world-famous Finocchio, that's with an F, club in San Francisco, California, as the review's bilingual singing main feature.
I thought you were the Cuban legend.
There's another one.
We'll bring Judy Garland back to life with his own live singing impersonations on the late star. The show will also include many lovely costume changes, and Mr. de Alba will give some anecdote narrations, some of his personal ones on Judy, and other anecdotes that Judy was famous for telling during her 1960s USA television appearances.
This show is a must-to-see for any Judy Garland fan, and for those who will appreciate a live singing female impressionist at best.
I wonder if he's going to sing Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Probably. That's one of her top, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
He's very persistent, this guy.
He is.
He's been emailing and wanted me to interview him, but he doesn't have long distance, so he can't call in the shows, or trying to figure out a way how we could interview him, but it's just,
two Cuban legends on one show.
It would be a little too much,
I don't know if the internet can handle that. Show title, By Myself on a Lonely Stage 2015. David de Alba live tribute to Judy Garland. Sunday, June 21st at 2 p.m. Tickets are $20 for VIP seating and $18 for general seating. And it's at the Onyx Theater, 953 East Sahara Avenue, 26B East, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89104. And the phone number for tickets is 702-732-7225. And these are little toddlers at home because it's geared to audience who are 20 years and up.
Yes, I don't think little toddlers will really appreciate.
I thought they would appreciate Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Somewhere over the rainbow. Yeah, I like that song. It's a cute song. Anyway, Vegas, June 21st.
Hey, wow. We might be able to go on our honeymoon.
That would be nice.
Never know.
You never know. I've never been to Vegas.
You never have?
I've never been to Vegas. I've never been California, I've been when I was a senior in high school, and I went to Disneyland. And that was like many moons ago.
I used to work at Disneyland.
Did you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Used to be a culinary artist.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, busboy.
Oh. Interesting. So, yeah.
Little things you don't know about.
Oh, I know. I'm
Finding
learning.
out
I
now.
know. It's great. So I'm learning.
Live and on demand.
That's right. Learning beautiful things about each other as they go by and falling deeper and deeper in love.
Madly.
Madly, totally.
Well, is this it?
This is it, folks.
Oh,
I know.
Can we do the MICKEY?
M-O-U-S-E.
If you can't live your truth.
That is just not worth living. I hope you guys enjoyed the broadcast, and good night. And we will see you on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.